I've been talking a lot lately about the food supply problem, food shortages, meat, vegetables, you name it. And I've said over and over again that the actual problem is the highly centralized, highly regulated, just-in-time system, right? So you have all these people running around going, talking about this or that on what's going on, and it's the insurance companies, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, ultimately it is the system. Okay, it's the centralized, highly regulated system. And it didn't used to be that way, right? Farmers used to be able to go to the local butcher shop, have their stuff processed, and be able to sell those cuts. They can't do that now. It has to be a full USDA facility or the state equivalent that meets all of those requirements. Okay, so today I want to talk specifically about meat processing. Okay, as far as the food supply, so meat processing. And like I said, it is absolutely just in time, highly regulated, highly centralized. The answer, of course, is deregulation in this area and a decentralized, highly decentralized system. I mean, ultimately, that's the answer. Okay, and I've said that many different times. Now, and I've used the example, like I can't sell my neighbor a ham, and I can't. So again, that's the answer. Now, there's a couple things going on. There is the Prime Act. Okay, the Prime Act is a piece of legislation that I think it was first introduced by Congressman Massey, and who is obviously still pushing that. And he started pushing it 5 years ago. And basically everyone ignored him the whole time, right? Blah, blah. We can't do that. It's unsafe and blah, blah, blah. All kinds of silly reasons why it was not considered, and mostly because it was opposed by big organizations. Okay, big ag, big pork, big cattle. Okay, all these people oppose stuff like this. Why? Because it decentralizes it, deregulates it, to the point where they're getting competition from all the way down to the person who's selling 5 cows or 10 pigs. Okay, and they don't want that. They don't want that. They want you to have multi-million-dollar facilities like they do, et cetera, et cetera. It's outrageous. So the Prime Act, let me see if I can get this right. So it's an acronym, and it stands for Processing Revival Intrastate Meat Exemption. Okay, and then the bottom line is that it would do the following. It would basically exempt the small farmers from having to go through USDA facilities. Okay, that's what it would do ultimately. Right now there's a requirement that if you're going to sell a ribeye, it has to go through a USDA processing facility or a state equivalent, like total equivalent, as far as inspection purposes and all of that. Well, this creates a huge burden on the small farmer. A small farmer is much harder to be able to profitably do this going through USDA facilities. One, there's much fewer of them. Two, processing costs are higher because those facilities have to meet all these strict requirements, etc. Okay, it's significantly higher. Okay, if you look at it per pound, like custom processing versus USDA or state facility processing, there's a big difference, and there's a reason why. Okay, it's not the processors, gouging or taking advantage of the fact that they're USDA. There is some of that, but they do have higher costs. Okay, so that's what it would do. Now, would that allow me to sell a ham to my neighbor? No, it would not. Okay, no, it would not. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that the Prime Act is a good thing. It doesn't go far enough, in my opinion, but what it does allow for is that for states to be able to exempt all the way down to me selling a ham to my neighbor if they wanted to. Now, do I think that would happen on a large scale? I don't think that would happen. Okay, it's a shame, but I don't. But I still support the Prime Act because it is, well, one, it's the way things are, and it's much better. It decentralizes things quite a bit. I don't think it goes far enough, but it's a good step. Now, here's one thing that just irritates me to no end. The fact that they have to make a law that says that you can do something, right? And this is constant. It's constant, right? So, you know, the way it should be is that if there's no law saying I can't, then we assume I can. But instead, it's like, no, the assumption is you can't do anything unless there's a law that says you can do something, right? That's ridiculous. But that's the way it is. And that's the, you know, we live in there. So again, I say this all the time as well, is that we operate on the way things are, not the way things should be. That's just a reality, and you'll drive yourself crazy if you're constantly working on the way things should be, right? But you should spend 10% of your time, I would say, on the way things should be. So like, again, the Prime Act is a good step. Don't think it goes far enough, but it would help. It would help deregulate, right? So in other words, as long as the state of Idaho, in my case, said, okay, great, Prime Act went through, so yeah, you can go to your local processor, your custom butcher, and this could be someone who butchers 5 cows a week. And then you can get individual cuts from them, and you can go sell it in the grocery store. If you can cut a deal with the grocery store, you can sell it to an individual, a neighbor, whatever. Okay, so it's a good thing. Now, what it would require, though, is that states would have to follow that up and also give you freedom, right? Give you freedom to be able to do these things in that manner. So the first step is, yes, Prime Act, and then, again, it gives the states the ability to exempt all the way down, which they should. They should exempt it all the way down and let producers and consumers work those things out, okay? Now, who opposes, this is an interesting discussion. Who opposes the Prime Act? Well, I mentioned it earlier, and I'm just going to use one example because you can look this up for yourself. Big Ag opposes it, okay? Like your, I don't even remember what it's called. It's like National Pork Producers Council, okay? This is a national body that represents big pork production, right? These are the facilities that grow pigs in small cages and then and process them, right? They oppose the Prime Act. Now, what is their stated reason for opposing the Prime Act? Why do they oppose it? Why would they not want more freedom, more deregulation, more decentralization? Why would they not want that? Here's their stated reasons. Their stated reasons are for the safety of the meat supply, right? The safety of it's safety, right? And also they put a little twist on it with regards to animal health, right? And then safety of the food supply. That is so absolutely bogus. That is not the real reason why they oppose it. It is not. Okay? The real reason why they oppose it is because it creates tens of thousands of small producers to directly compete with them. Okay? That's the bottom line. Like right now, I can't compete with them because my costs are so much higher if I have to go through a USDA facility or whatever else. But if I can raise 5 pigs on my property and I can take it to a custom processor where the processing is much more inexpensive, now all of a sudden I can compete with them on the market. Okay, and they don't want that. Okay, that's the bottom line, right? And I'm not just picking on them. You go to any industry, the large producers, they want regulation, right? It puts them in a seat of advantage. And they certainly want, if they have these massive hurdles to jump through, they want you to have to jump through them too, even as a very, very small time producer. And to include multi-million-dollar facilities and all that kind of stuff that you just can't do, right? I mean, if I can't just go through the process and become a USDA, processing facility on my property and say, well, yeah, but I'm only going to do, 5 to 10 animals a week. Very small, very clean process. I can follow all the, no, it's not going to happen. It's not feasible for me to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Again, the Prime Act is a good thing. I don't think it goes far enough, but it does help towards decentralization, deregulation, and getting away from this just-in-time inventory. Or just-in-time inventory food supply system with regards to meat. All right, so just wanted to give you an update and talk specifically about meat processing.